It's going to be huge. Understand Coinbase is an anomaly. Although it's sort of a banking type of entity, it has become the Facebook or Google of crypto. It is so dominant. The question is, how did Goldman Sachs let this happen?
So I think the world is changing. I think we're getting a lot more adoption of crypto and Bitcoin in particular.
This is real innovation in financial services. And I think Coinbase has added to that innovation in a few ways.
But it could be a big catalyst that maybe is getting overlooked a bit here because Coinbase, everybody knows it, but in the background, ETFs, not a thing to scoff at either.
Yeah, and it's just the institutional case for Bitcoin getting stronger by the day, and this is just the very latest.
You know, the notes that I got from our producer here, Julian, were very interesting because it says that you are very, very, with the very, very in all caps, bullish on Bitcoin. And so
got some news from MicroStrategy this morning. According to an 8K, the company will now pay non-employee directors all fees for their service in, you ready for this? Bitcoin instead of cash. Payment amounts will remain the same and will be nominally denominated in US dollars. When payment is made, the amount will be converted from dollars into Bitcoin by the payment processor and deposited into the digital wallet of the director. Kramer joins us now. I want to talk Microsoft nuance, but what do you make of that? And what does it say about crypto?
Well, it just says that you got to buy Coinbase when that deal comes, even though it's a $100 billion deal. This has become common knowledge that there are many companies that are going to switch. MicroStrategy has always been the leader, Andrew. So I think others are going to follow. Do I want to be paid in Bitcoin? I think that you can pretty much quickly transfer that to dollars if you want. So it's a much more fluid market than a year ago. So I get it. It's kind of like being paid in
Would you take compensation in Bitcoin?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You would?
I think it's a storeholder value. I think, yes, I would. I think that it's this is a $2 trillion market, maybe going to $3 trillion. It's become, when you start hearing the common knowledge, different firms going for it.
If we set your salary right now as Bitcoin, and you know Jeff Shell could be watching, are you willing to to ride out whatever happens to it?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I may demand it.
This is kind of a bellwether, if you will, for how investor appetite is going to look when it comes to cryptocurrencies. How are you looking at this IPO shaping up, and what are the expectations?
It's going to be huge. Understand Coinbase is an anomaly. Although it's sort of a banking type of entity, it has become the Facebook or Google of crypto. It is so dominant. The question is, how did Goldman Sachs let this happen? Coinbase is an amazing opportunity. It's churning out lots of cash, which is why it's going out as a direct listing. It's a perfect direct listing candidate. It doesn't need to raise money. It's a cash engine right now.
You know, we have Coinbase's IPO this week. There's a lot more interest than ever in Bitcoin, in crypto. You either have to have a view that the world is changing or that this is a collective delusion. And by the way, it could be both.
So I think the world is changing. I think we're getting a lot more adoption of crypto and Bitcoin in particular for both positive reasons, people who see this as the future, and for less positive reason, which is people see this as the best macro hedge. And we need to think about that. How has it come to the point where we think of a volatile Bitcoin as the best macro hedge? But that's reality. I do think, Andrew, there's a lot of work being done in the central banking community on crypto, on central bank cryptocurrency. The BIS in particular, that brings together all the central banks, has been looking at that. So there's a lot of work going on. Don't be fooled. Central banks are looking at this very carefully.
What we've just seen in crypto in the last year, and it has almost become mainstream. Well, it is mainstream. So positive future for that whole arena and for Coinbase. I think you would agree.
I would agree. And this is real innovation in financial services. I used to joke that we haven't seen true innovation in financial services, meaning people act differently. They do things differently. It's not just efficiency probably since the money market account in the early 70s. And I think Coinbase has added to that innovation in a few ways. First, the settlement process, the fact that they're using blockchain means that we don't have to worry about T+X settlement, which has been such an issue in our markets. Second, it's really new use cases. People are using it differently. So for example, NFTs, for example, people trading it separately. And then third, I think institutions, even in the last 3 or 4 months, have really come in, and corporates have come in and said, hey, I need to have crypto as a part of my my treasury planning. So the use cases plus blockchain means that people are adding this to kind of their general look within their portfolio and their activities. When I think about valuation, what I have been told is that people are thinking about Coinbase as a through the cycle earner. So they're thinking about valuing it more like a online brokerage firm. So they're thinking about it in that, 15, 20 plus multiple.
There's another thing to talk about on the crypto front as well, which would be Mike Novogratz. We've had him on the show before, hedge fund guy turned into the crypto enthusiast as well, launching their paperwork here to file for a Bitcoin ETF. They're now the 10th by my unofficial count that I've seen here in people trying to get the SEC to approve their Bitcoin ETF. Of course, Fidelity is also on that list, as well as Sacramucci as well. But it could be a big catalyst that maybe is getting overlooked a bit here because Coinbase, everybody knows it, but in the background, ETFs, not a thing to scoff at either.
Yeah, and it just, the institutional case for Bitcoin getting stronger by the day, and this is just the very latest. It's interesting, you say Coinbase going public on April 14th, that could be a big boost, or a lot of crypto enthusiasts are excited about it, but you could certainly argue that those who are maybe a little wary of having to stomach some of the volatility in direct investments into cryptos could be looking at Coinbase as another way to sort of dip their toes in the market as well. And it's been interesting to see how the moves in Bitcoin as well as Ethereum lifting other coins as well. Last week, remember, we were talking about crypto's market value topping $2 trillion. So it's not just about Bitcoin anymore, but it certainly looks like we are starting to see the knock-on effect in other currencies here getting a lift from the overall value proposition around this.
The notes that I got from our producer here, Julian, were very interesting because it says that you are very, very, with the very, very in all caps, bullish on Bitcoin. And so I'm wondering if let's say somebody at home had, a sum of money, let's just say $10,000 for argument's sake, to put someplace from now until the end of the year, would that be in U.S. equities or would that be in Bitcoin?
So here's our view on Bitcoin. Long term, we think it's the story is very sound. We think that it is likely to become an increasingly more important percentage of someone's assets. We think for now, there's some digestion to be done. There's a very important IPO coming out this week. We want to see how digital assets respond. We would say that with both U.S. equities and Bitcoin, you need to think long term. We do think both are going higher. We do think that Bitcoin looks quite strong into next year.